Hey there, I am making rose petal fermented cordial. So it's a non-alcoholic beverage out of beach rose petals. How awesome is that? So I've already put in um, 1 cup of sugar. I use cane sugar, the brown sugar, and 1 cup of lukewarm water. I'm trying this recipe for the first time, so let's see how it goes. And I'm going to add 1 more cup of lukewarm water. I'm using a 0.5 water from my electrolyzed reduced water machine. And then I'm stirring it up. I like to use, you want to do this in glass, I like to use wood. I'm using a chopstick. And, I like to use as much natural things as possible. So you don't want to mix this in plastic, whatever you do. Make sure you use a glass container, and you're going to dissolve the sugar, and then we're going to put in the rose petals and a little citric acid. Make sure it's food grade, and let's get the rose petals. Before we get the rose petals, let's add the citric acid. So I use lemons mostly when I go to make a fermented, like the elderflower champagne. And you can find all these recipes. I'll put this recipe in the Nature's Seasonal Recipe portal, so you can have access to it. And this time I don't have any lemons, so I'm going to use citric acid. I do have the citric acid, food grade. I'll show you that right here. So you gotta make sure it's food grade. See, it says food grade right there. And you can use citric acid for all kinds of things. Cleaning, it's for jams, more fermented things. My elderflower champagne, I use vinegar. This is going to be a little bit different. It's not going to have the vinegar in it, so I'm interested. It might take a little bit longer to ferment. So now I'm going to go get the rose petals. So these rose petals I get far, far away from any traffic. It's along the shore. These are beach rose petals. Oh my gosh, they smell so good. And you just, thank the roses. They were already starting to fall off, and I got them right before a wind and rainstorm. So it was perfect timing in order to, get the petals before they were all on the ground. There's so many petals. There's so many roses blooming right now. You couldn't even tell that I took any. And, you don't want to wash them because they have a natural yeast. So if you see any bugs or anything, of course, remove them. But you don't want to wash them. Otherwise, you'll lose nature's yeast. So we're just adding a cup of the rose petals into the water, sugar. The sugar's all dissolved. Citric acid is all dissolved in the water. And it's that easy. And then you're just going to put a loose cover on top. Or, like cheesecloth. Even a paper towel. And then let it sit. The hotter it is in your kitchen, or I leave it on the counter so I don't forget about it, because you want to stir it like a couple times a day, when you get up in the morning before you take off and start your day. And it's, it's a beautiful way to connect with nature, just doing that. And at the end of the day, before you go to bed, just give it a little stir. And when it starts getting bubbly and fizzy, that's when the fermentation's starting to happen and all that magic. And so then you want to let it sit for a couple more days with that happening. You want to taste it to see, how it is. If you want it, not as sweet, the longer it sits, the less sweet it's going to be. But you don't want it to sit any longer than a couple weeks, especially if it's hot out. You don't want it to let it sit for more than a few days. So it all depends upon the temperature. The ideal temperature, from what I understand, is like low 70s. Okay, so I hope you enjoy your day, and happy smelling the roses along the way.